Okay, so make yourself comfortable. People watching this from the outside, please do not listen or watch if you're operating or using machinery, and only do if it's safe to do so, and it's no substitute for any intervention. It's just an educational program, a gentle self-hypnosis. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and anytime you want to come back, you can come back at any point. So for now, perhaps you'd like to close your eyes, and as you close your eyes, just breathe naturally and normally. And as you breathe naturally and normally, you become aware of your heartbeat. And as you become aware of your heartbeat, your mind begins to wander, drifts. And as your mind drifts, you start to think of certain experiences in your life. Experiences that have been influential in the person you become today. And that could have been when you were 5, and that could have been when you were 10, and that could have been in your teenage years, or it could be one of all, or one of both, or one of the other, or it could have been recently, or it may not have happened. Many things we worry about have never happened, and if they do happen, we've got little control over. And we can focus on the things we can do, and we can focus on the things we can't. And if we focus on the things we can't do, we stop focusing on the things that we can. And as you notice any sensations in your body, you take a deep breath, calm and peaceful. And perhaps you remember a day when you were calm and you were away, and it might have been a holiday, or it may have been a vacation, or perhaps it was just a time with some friends or family, and you just notice something in the background, and you focus on what you notice in the background. And as you focus on what you notice in the background, you begin to feel calm, peaceful, and you hear a sound in the background, and it sounds like some wind on a summer's day, and you want to go out and play, and you breathe, and the wind blows the clouds, and as the wind blows the clouds, you start to wonder, and you know today's the day. And you breathe, and as you breathe, you realize you can't get the last breath you took back, and you can't breathe in the next breath. The only breath you can breathe in is the breath you take in now. As you breathe in, you notice your heart slowing down, and you're in complete control. And you start to reflect on your life. Sometimes we get caught up on a treadmill. We run and run on that treadmill. And stop the treadmill and detach yourself from life and look from the outside in. Breathing naturally and normally. As you breathe in naturally and normally, you start to focus on some of the things you do or have done. As you focus on the things you do, the things you've done, experiences that have shaped the person you are today, you start to look at blocks and barriers, and a bit like driving on the road, and there's roadworks, and you've been driving for a few hours on a clear road, and there's roadworks, and you've got to divert, and you take a diversion, and you program the sat-nav, and it takes you a new way, and you're frustrated and angry because you've drove a long way only to be stuck by roadworks and have to take another way, and you get frustrated and you take a diversion and you think of all the frustrations and you ruminate over those frustrations and all the permutations, and you ignore the beauty of the diversion, the beautiful countryside. It's a sunny day, and you stop for a moment as the wind blows the clouds away and just admire the beauty. And whilst you might not be where you want to be in the time you want to be it, you can still be, you can still experience. You take a moment now to pull the car to one side where it's safe and just admire what's going on in the outside. And breathe naturally and normally, and just adjusting your position so you get more and more comfortable and deeper and deeper. And you think about some of the patterns that you'd like to change, things that you do. And we all do. Perhaps you find yourself getting frustrated with someone in your life and you respond in a certain way. Perhaps it's a relationship. You get so far and you sabotage it because of a feeling of a sense of worth. Perhaps it's a job, a career, frustration. Perhaps it's one or the other, or all, or none of the above. Might be something else. It's a block, and maybe something you do over again. Repeat the cycle. Or it could be an heirloom from the past, passed down from generation to generation. And I once worked with a group of young people who were not in education and employment, and their parents, for the most part, hadn't worked, and their parents hadn't worked, and conditioned by social, they thought that was a norm. The idea was to pair them up to staff that were in employment and improve their prospects. And you plant the seeds, and the farmer plants the seeds. And as you plant the seeds, you water them. And all you can do is leave the rest to nature. You can't control the locust. You can't control the weather. What you can control is plant the seeds. But once you've planted the seeds, you don't jump up and down in frustration if they're not sprouting or growing. They'll do it in their own time. Just like a baby. You don't tell a baby when to walk, or there's no exact time frame. Some babies walk at 12 months, some babies walk at 18. Some babies will speak their first words at a certain age, and some babies will speak at another age. And you start to reflect on that. And you think of your first steps, those first steps you took on this journey of where you are now. You think of the first words you spoke, and you reflect on that. And there was a 5-year-old, and the 5-year-old had dropped a drink all over their painting. They were painting some art, creating an experience for themselves, a picture of their family and the sun and the sky and the surroundings, and it spilled the drink all over him. And they were afraid they were in trouble, the 5-year-old. And the parent had seen the 5-year-old hide the drawing. And the 5-year-old was worried because of the school project. The 5-year-old didn't want to tell the parent. The parent said, "What's wrong?" And the 5-year-old explained what they'd done. And as they explained it, the parent said, "I did that once." And the 5-year-old said, "When?" And the parent said, "When I was 5 or 6, I had a project to do for school, a drawing, and I spilled the drink all over it. And I had to do a new one." And the 5-year-old said, "Really?" The 5-year-old was amazed. He was stunned to think that the parent was once 5. The 5-year-old said, "Really? You were 5 or 6? How's that even possible?" In amazement. And we repeat these cycles. And we do things that we regret doing, and some things we let go, and some things we learn, and some experiences we benefit from. And you think for a moment now how you benefit from the cycles you repeat. And you might think, well, I don't benefit, because the end result isn't what you want it to be. But that instant gratification that you receive, that secondary gain, you go deeper and you see and explore. And it could be an heirloom of the past. Or it could be a feeling you like to feel. And as you feel that feeling from the pattern that you do, you start to explore the benefit. And as you explore the benefit, it all makes sense. I understand why I do what I do and when I do what I do. And because I understand why I do what I do when I do what I do, I have the power to change and make meaning from it. As you do that, you breathe and you let go and breathe naturally and normally. And you know you're not accountable to anything you don't want to do. But you imagine and you wonder a world where you can do something different and break the chain, break the mold. Now you notice, because we don't always notice. And you could be walking in the countryside or walking along the beach, or you could be just sitting at home and walking along the countryside. You stop and have a drink, perhaps tea or coffee, or perhaps just a refreshing drink, and you notice something in your shoe. And you didn't notice it before because you were so focused on the beautiful surroundings, the greenery, the blue sky, and just like walking on the beach, it's the blue sky and the water shining off the sparkling of the blue water back to the sky. And you notice the sand, the warmth of the sand. And as you notice that warmth of the sand on your feet for the first time, you carry on walking, and that warmth radiates every cell of your body, and you feel the warmth in your calves, in your thighs, in your lower back, in your shoulders, in your neck, head, and your jaw just drops down ever so slightly. And you breathe and you feel calm and peaceful, and as you walk towards the ocean or walk towards the beach, or as you dip your toes in the pool, the first experience is that chill. But then you warm up and you desensitize, and you desensitize, and you carry on walking into the sea, and you go up to your knees, and you're safe. You'll walk as far as you feel safe to walk, as far as you want to walk. And you can always walk back. It's a still ocean. The ocean is still and blue as you walk to your knees. You carry on walking, and gradually as you walk in, you feel the fresh water, slight coolness in your legs, and the more you walk, the more you warm up. Eventually you carry on walking in till the point that you might swim a little bit, or you might just stay where you are, and you leave all these patterns in the vast ocean, like a dot in the horizon, and you see these patterns for what they are. And as you make your way out of the ocean, you leave the patterns in that vast ocean. I once heard that there's billions and billions of stars in the cosmic universe, and there's billions of neurons in our brain, roughly 84 to 100 billion neurons in the brain, a phenomenal brain. As you walk outside the beach and the sun radiates and dries the water off, you carry on walking, and as you walk, a storm begins to set in, but you're safe to the point that you're just slightly more vigilant than you were before, and you see the clouds are drawing in and the storm brewing in, and your goal is to get to the car or to your hotel or to the room you're staying, which is only a few 100 meters away, maybe a mile away. And you walk and you're concerned, and the rain comes down, the clouds hover over, and the wind is strong, and you wrap yourself with a towel, and as you wrap yourself with this towel, you cling tighter and tighter, and you hold the beach umbrella, and it's blowing away. Use it as a protective shield from the elements as you protect yourself from the elements and are blown away by this wind. The harder the wind dries, the stronger the rain, the darker the clouds, the more you cling on. And just out of nowhere, a wind blows clouds away, and you begin to feel more calm. The sun breaks through the clouds, the sky is blue, there's a warmth, and as hard as the wind tried, the harder you held the towel. And as the sun comes through, you release the towel. And you release, and your jaw feels looser, and your shoulders feel more calm. And the sun breaks through, and you decide to take a seat and just explore. And you notice a ship, and you notice people swimming in the ocean again. You notice a sailing boat, and as the boat sails, you focus on this yacht and the way it navigates. And the wind might blow one way, and the wind might blow another way. And the sailing yacht adjusts its sails, and you adjust your own sails to where you want to go. And you get meaning from all your experiences. And now is always a good time to start. And there's a person I once knew who experienced various adversity that took them to a point where they felt that they weren't where they want to be, or might not be able to be where they want to be. And we meet people who may have been injured playing sport, or we meet people who may have suffered a business loss, we meet people who may have had an adverse event in their life that's blowing off course. And that shapes the identity. And the identity becomes a struggle until the day arrives. Enough of that. And you drop the baggage and you travel lighter. As you make your way back to the airport or to the car, or however you got to where you are, you start packing the bag. And as you pack your bag, you decide which clothes you're going to leave and which clothes you're going to bring, or what you're going to leave behind. And you may be sentimental about an old shirt, or perhaps a book you once had, perhaps an item you decide it's time to leave it behind. And you leave it. Or you might place it in the bin. And you pack your bags and take all the things you need and leave the things you don't need behind. And just like you do that, you can decide which behaviors are no longer serving you and which ones are serving you. And just place the behaviors and the cycles. And that could be around money, and that could be around relationships, or that could be around any area that you want to focus on. It could be the way you respond to people, or the way you let them respond to you. And you take some time now to process what you want to leave behind. And as you process that, you focus on the future. And as you focus on the future, and you're making your way back, and that could be on an aeroplane or in a car or just walking, you're vigilant enough to react, but you're also calm enough to enjoy the journey. And you calm the mind down, and you feel a sense of calmness and peacefulness. You're breathing naturally and normal. Letting go of what doesn't serve you in. Seeing yourself in the future now. In a situation where you may have responded one way, now you respond differently. And that could be the value of your worth. Where at one point you may not have valued your worth as a person, or personally or professionally. It could be in a relationship. You respond in a certain way in a certain situation, now you respond differently. Or it could be a goal you have to be a speaker or for an interview. Respond different to the way you responded before. You see a paradigm differently. And you breathe naturally and normally. And at one point in your life, you may have been shy to ask for money for your services. At one point in your life, you may have been overwhelmed by the joy of a relationship, and you pushed it away. At one point in your life, you may have responded to a child or a partner in a certain way, but now you respond differently. You're calm, you know your worth, and you breathe and let go of the things that are holding you back, and you see the triggers, the cycles. You break the cycle. And by breaking the cycle, you break the cycle for the people that you care about the most, as well as yourself. And it's just like holding a baby, and you notice someone holding a baby, and you stop and watch someone holding a baby, and you watch closer, and that's a reflection of you holding the baby, and the baby's you. You're nurturing yourself. You have a sense of self-love for self, and you love yourself in a way that you'd share love for someone else, because many people do more for others than what they ever do for themselves. But it's hard to give someone something else if you won't give it to yourself, and you give yourself that deep self-love, not in an egocentric way or conceited way, in a way that you are equally, if not as important, as anybody else. You deserve that self-love. And as you do that, you feel deep. And you don't need to receive it from anybody else, because you're giving it to yourself. And you know that we can control what we can, and we let go what we can't. And now you can be comfortable. And you feel a sense of comfort in your own sense of being. The wonders of being you, knowing in a cosmic universe. There'll never be you again. Not in the genetic form you're in now. You have a sense of respect and value for yourself, and if you try and please everyone, you please no one. And you can do things for people for various reasons, and there are people who become enabled by what you do, and they bring out the worst in you, and they probably bring out the best in you, but you bring out the best in yourself. So in the past, there were people who were for you, and people who were against you, and people who you thought were for you were against you, and people who were against you actually for you. Because a parent tells the child certain things in life. The child might not agree until eventually it realizes it was for the better, or one of the best for them, but albeit it may not have been what the child wanted. But equally in saying that, there are people out there that express sympathy for you, but equally they go away and they become a cheerleader for your demise. And there are people who pretend to be happy for you that actually go away and quietly resent you. But all that's irrelevant, really, because you love yourself in a non-conceited way. And just like the parent holding the baby has a deep love and affection for the baby, you transfer that love for self. And let that spread for every cell of your body, knowing you're in a good place. You react better. Because the better state that you're in, the better you react. You've got a strong sense of self-worth and self-love. You're less likely to do things that you have done in the past to please other people. And you do them because it's the right thing to do for you and for them. But you won't please everyone, or you just end up pleasing no one. And you're well aware of these cycles and your vulnerabilities. The baby's vulnerable, and the baby, in search for love, bonds to the parents irrespectively of how the nurturing process. And you can break any bonds that don't serve you, being in complete control or seeing for what they are. There is no vulnerability anymore. There's no need for you to behave in a way that doesn't serve you anymore. You can let these patterns go, because you may have been vulnerable at the time, and people sense that vulnerability, like a hawk circling its prey. But this time you're ready, and the hawk can be tamed. You tame that aspect of your psyche. And in a moment now, I'm going to pause to let you process our journey. And our journey's taken us one way, and our journey's taken us another way. And our journey's taken us to where you can find meaning in an existential way. And it might not be what you want for now, but it'll resonate in the future. And you can feel calm and safe in the knowledge to know you might not be where you want to be, but you might be where you need to be. And we've been through challenges in the past and tried to make sense of them. And we've realised the person we are today is because of the experience we've had in the past. Now you can look to the future in a bright way and set a timeline for yourself, knowing that the journey begins. So many amazing experiences. But you leave the baggage behind and you focus on going forward. And you have the realization, perhaps in an hour or a day or even a few weeks from now, maybe a year or two, you're in that moment, in that journey, looking forward to the various places you want to go, things you want to learn, relationships you want to build, letting go of the old behaviors and replacing them, or even leaving them as they are behind, to create new possibilities on this wondrous journey. And as I pause, I'm going to give you a minute or so to process your journey. And perhaps you can hear the music in the background or the clock ticking, or just sounds, and process, some time to process your thoughts. And as you process your thoughts, you bring back any realizations. And you can place the realizations in a bag and open them as and when they're useful for you. So gradually now, in your own time, in your own pace, coming back naturally. Just like when you put your head down in the evening and drift off to sleep. You wake up refreshed and recharged and revitalized when you're ready to come back in your own pace. Just gradually come back and notice where you are. There we go. It's a bit of a journey.
I thought we stayed on the beach actually.
Okay, well, I won't ask you which beach, but I can only imagine.
You can only imagine.
Yeah.